Okay, alright, so we got Keaton, then we got rid of him, then Kilmer came in, and now Kilmer's gone? Who's next? George Clooney? Just when I thought the villains of the last movie were the cherry on top of the cheesecake, the villains in this movie are the stem on top of the cherry. Alright guys, before we start bashing this movie for its ridiculousness, I just want to mention that the director of this film, Joel Schumacher, and he's the director of the last one, he had been apologizing for years for the ridiculousness of this movie, and he was still apologizing for the bat nipples. So if we could just give him a moment of silence before we tear this movie a new one, I would really appreciate it. So please, if you can join me.
I'm so sorry. I failed you. You trusted me. And I failed you.
Okay. What's up everybody, welcome back to the Has Project. I'm John Ortolaza, and today we're concluding the 90s Batman films. I know Keaton's first film was 89, but it's the 90s. And we're concluding the 90s films with Batman and Robin, the second Joel Schumacher directed Batman film to not star Val Kilmer. This time around, Chris O'Donnell's back, but we got George Clooney in the role of Bruce Wayne / Batman. Let's get into it. Okay. I'm gonna try to justify myself. So I did rewatch Batman Forever and Batman and Robin the most growing up. I was never really attracted to the first two films, probably because of how dark they look and the lack of characters. You know, like Joker's cool, I guess, but maybe I just wasn't into the Joker as a little kid. I don't remember. I don't remember that movie so much. So rewatching Forever and Batman and Robin, it was like I was a kid again because I'd watched these the most. And man, they're not good. Like, they're really cheese fests. I mean, if you want to talk about the tone alone, the tone from where this franchise started in 1989 with Michael Keaton's Batman, directed by Tim Burton, it was a dark and somber world. It still had a little bit of silliness in it because it's Tim Burton, and that's kind of the nature of what he likes to do in certain movies, but you know, where we started off in that movie, and then now we're in 1997 with George Clooney in the role, and there's just cheesy one-liners being spewed out of Arnold Schwarzenegger's mouth every second he's on screen. It's such a deviation, and you would think I'm lying to you if I said that this movie is connected to that Batman from '89. With that being said though, let's just throw all of the annoyances out of the way because we know what we're getting ourselves into with this movie. If you saw my review of Batman Forever, or if you've seen Batman Forever and have seen Batman and Robin, you know what's wrong with it. You do. So I don't want to get hung too much on all of the bad negativity of it. I just want to have fun with this movie review. The movie opens up very similarly to the last movie, and it's got the new theme, a new composer, which I'll be honest, it's not a bad theme. I was actually like humming it and reciting it in the last couple of years to myself while I'm at work. I'm like, where's this from? Is this from one of the Schumacher Batmans? Because I know what Tim Burton and Danny Elfman's Batman theme is, so it's got to be one of those. And sure enough, it was. I remembered it to a T. That's how you know I watched these movies, because I know this theme, and it's a really good theme. I'm not gonna lie, it's a really good theme. I like it. I like how both those movies open up. Like, immediately there's cheese ensued in these scenes. Like, Alfred asked Batman in the beginning of Forever if he wants a sandwich. He was like, no, I'll get takeout. And then Robin asked Batman in the beginning of this one, why can't I get a car or a motorcycle? Chicks did the cars. And then Clooney just looks at him in the most Clooney fashion ever, just looks at Robin and says, see, this is why Superman works alone. And then just hops in his Batmobile and dips. And then we immediately get introduced to Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, and it's like the perfect role for him. He's able to be Arnold Schwarzenegger while also just playing this very over-the-top villain. And dude, he's painted from head to toe in like this blue platinum paint. It looks weird, like his skin kind of shines a little bit. It's got a sparkle effect to it. It's ridiculous, and his eyes he's got the contacts in, and the lips are also blue, and the suit, dude. It's like everybody's designs in this movie were for toys, and then they made it into real life outfits, which was ridiculous. All these outfits are insane. The bat nipples are there more than ever, dude. I mean, it's ridiculous. Then we get introduced to Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy, she's just a scientist, she's just, studying plants and whatnot. Then her boss is creating this super soldier serum, which is kind of funny to me. I know super soldier serum is all over the comics, and it leads to many different outcomes. And then they were like interjecting a bucket with the label Venom on it, because that's what you should be putting in people's bodies. The guy started off very scrawny, and then once they injected him with all that, dude, like his biceps were this small, and then they became this big. Then there was a disagreement with Ivy and her boss, the one with the crazy hair who did the experiment on Bane. And then he was like, long story short, he just said, well, I guess I'll just have to kill you. It's a very similar setup to Batman Returns when Christopher Walken's character pushed Michelle Pfeiffer out of the window 10 stories and then splat in the middle of a dark alley. Ivy gets pushed onto the floor, onto these benches with a bunch of chemicals and plants on them, and then it looks like, dude, I bullshit you not, it looks like a portal opens on the floor and she falls through it and a bunch of vines start going through the portal, and then it cuts away. She's presumed dead or consumed by Mother Nature. I don't know what that was, but then it comes back about a scene or two later. The guy's on his phone, he's still in the office where he killed the woman. Then the portal opens. Some vines and stuff come out, leaves and whatnot, and then she comes out, cut like cropped shorts or whatnot. She comes up, just rises up like the Undertaker, dude. And she's all wrapped in vines and leaves. She's got freaking green all, dude. Look, the only good thing I can say about Poison Ivy's origins in this movie is at least we didn't get a 2-minute scene of her cutting up a bunch of leaves and flowers and making an outfit. Ivy and Bane team up, and then later on in the film, they team up with Mr. Freeze. They help him out, get a ruby or something. I don't know what the plot of this crap is, but they all team up. They're a trio of domination now. So how in the world will Batman and Robin take down 3 villains? Well, Alfred's dying, and he's got a niece. Alicia Silverstone is in this movie, and she plays Alfred's niece, aka Batgirl. And during the night, she'll steal one of Robin's bikes to go bike racing or street racing with other bikers. Weird. Then it's revealed that her parents died too, and she street races to blow off the steam. The Alfred Actor in these movies is really good. He does have a nice, protective side about him. He cares about the 3, he cares about Bruce, he cares about Dick. He cares about them all. He cares about his niece, of course. He wants nothing but the best for them. He doesn't want them to get hurt, though, and he doesn't, get the vibe. He doesn't mind if they can't save everybody like him, but they do everything they can, and I just, I can't help but see Alfred just chilling there like,
the orphans, they need me.
In a movie where you have murderous psychopaths like one, for instance, with a freeze gun who freezes people into ice cubes, they decide not to kill him because they have to save their butler. The effects in here, they are what they are. I don't want to be too negative. Like I said, I'm not in the mood to be negative right now. All I can say is it's 90s cheese. It's fitting with the tone of the movie, so I'll allow it. I will say I really did like Mr. Freeze in here. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger, as cheesy as all of his dialogue is, I appreciated that for a movie this old and from a time in comic book movies where they were just do the casual good guy, bad guy thing. Mr. Freeze did come across as more than just a bad guy. He was a guy, a very misunderstood guy that was doing a lot of bad things, but he ultimately just wanted to save his wife because he loves her so much. And I'm not gonna lie, that really does touch me rewatching this movie as an adult. Amongst all of the craft and liquid gold cheese in this movie, I appreciate how Mr. Freeze was written when it comes to like his overall story and his arc, not necessarily his one-liners, although I really do enjoy all of his one-liners and his dialogue, but I can appreciate what they wrote for the character of Mr. Freeze. I really do like it. It's kind of compelling. It's one of the only really great things of Batman and Robin. Of course, you get more of Chris O'Donnell as Robin, but you got George Clooney now as Batman, and in my opinion, as I said with Val Kilmer, I never felt like that there was much of a deviation between his Bruce Wayne and his Batman. It kind of just felt like the guy was wearing a mask and sometimes not wearing a mask. George George Clooney doesn't even feel like Batman or Bruce Wayne. He just feels like George Clooney. By the way, I forgot to mention in my Batman Forever review, I didn't know that the Schumacher cut that I kept hearing about was for Batman Forever. I thought it was for Batman and Robin, but apparently no, it's for that one. That's a very wacky movie, more so than Batman and Robin in my opinion, but if that ultimate cut or the director's cut kind of changes the vibe of it a little bit, I heard it's like 20-30 minutes longer, so it's not gonna do like a whole Zack Snyder Justice League thing where it doubles the runtime or anything. If it changes and kind of has alternate takes of scenes in the original movie that, you know, that we got, then I don't know, I'd be into it. So yeah, I don't want to go beat for beat on everything that happens in Batman and Robin. All I can say is that it's a very, very silly movie, but I grew up with it. I did. I gotta be honest with you, I gotta come clean. I grew up with this. I liked it as a kid, and I understand there is a plethora of bad things in this movie. There is cheese fest all around, all across the board, but it's a fun mess. It's a fun, entertaining slob of a Batman comic book superhero film that I could rewatch because everybody in here does bring something. Albeit George Clooney is not my favorite Batman. He really is not, but I still like Chris O'Donnell as Robin. I like Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl in this movie. Alfred having a little bit more to do in this movie, and of course these villains, these outlandish, wacky, over-the-top villains. Freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger brings it, dude. He gets credited before George Clooney, I believe. So that's crazy to me, dude. Like, he does carry this movie, and so does Uma Thurman. I think she's really good in here. I don't know where you would go after this. If they had made a sequel to Batman and Robin, I don't know how I would feel about it. I think we all would probably hate it. This movie does borderline that cheese factor. Like, it's right there. If it was any more, it'd be too much and I would really dislike this movie, but it's right there. It's just enough to make me appreciate it. So Batman and Robin, it's I in my books. It's a glass case of emotion, you know, from the 90s. It's probably all right, but after we've had 20 years after this movie of just comic book bangers after bangers, yeah, no, it's not good. So guys, that is my very disjointed review for Batman and Robin. Let me know down below, what did you think about the film? Did you grow up with it like me? Do you have a little soft spot for it? Can you not talk as bad about it as some people can? I could have, but you know, I just had a lot of fun rewatching it. So I wanted to make fun of it here and there, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's a 90s film with George Clooney as Batman. Like, dude, that happened, man. That's in our history. That's American history right there. George Clooney was Batman. Like, wow. Anyways, guys, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and be sure to stick around because I'm currently covering the Book of Boba Fett and Peacemaker. I just released my Peacemaker episode 5 review yesterday, so you might want to check that out and stick around because we're gonna be dipping into the Nolanverse. That's right. We're not done with these Batman movie review marathons. We got the Dark Knight trilogy coming up. So next week, you can expect a review for Batman Begins, the first Christian Bale Batman film directed by Christopher Nolan. And I'm very excited to talk about those because I did grow up with those as well. So I do have a soft spot for them. Plus, they're also really good. So even if I didn't have a soft spot for them, you can't ignore it because they're good. Anyways, guys, there's a lot of content, a lot of bad content coming to the channel. And as I always say, there is more to come.